morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Alrighty, and happy Pride.
Yay!
So as you guys know, today is San Francisco Pride, and we're actually celebrating our 46th year of Pride. And one of the things that San Francisco tends to do is have a theme for Pride. It's just something that San Francisco does because we're unique and we do things that way. That's the way who we are. And this year's theme is regarding for racial and economic justice. When we think about that, we think about everything that goes on in this world, and we think about even in a community that has a lot within itself, but realize there are important issues to always bring forward. And this year they're really, really highlighting and really celebrating the concept of racial and economic justice, which I think is a wonderful thing that they're actually doing. The thing is, as some of you guys may know, that this is considered Pride Month. It used to be just a Pride Day, then a Pride Weekend, then a Pride Week, and then suddenly now June has become the whole month of Pride. The opportunity for the LGBT community to celebrate for 30-some days. We're needy, so we need a lot.
We're gonna hold it there.
Yeah.
Got a little room for us.
Yeah. So we need a whole month to make sure that we celebrate who we are. So it's a wonderful thing. The thing is, though, actually, Pride actually came about because of the riot that actually happened in New York on June 28th, 1969. So that's actually how it actually came about, because they were at a club, being themselves, a chance for them to be free and to be in a place where they felt that was a safe haven for them. And and throughout the years and stuff like that, they have been raided many times from police officers. And in this one particular day on June 28th, when it happened, they had enough. It was just, you need to stop picking on us, and they stood up for what they thought was right, what their right was. And and that was a very powerful moment, I think, for the LGBT community, to be able to stand strong together and not as separate individuals, to fight for something that they realized that was very important to them. And it's definitely set the way for a lot of us now here in 2016. And the thing is, it wasn't until a year later, with the leadership of New York to decide to have the first march for Pride. And so New York, started it, and then Los Angeles and San Francisco and then other cities actually followed along. So the credit actually goes to New York for initiating it, and then everyone else actually, following along with that. And it's an opportunity for the community to come together and for them to actually really, really show, who they are. And I think that's an amazing thing. Then when I take a moment and actually think about in 1969, which, by the way, I was not even born yet. And then I realized that I'm like, wow, I was just in my mom's womb at that time. I was born later on in the year, but it was meant for me to be born in '69. But when you think about what was going on in that time period, and for them to take the moment and have the courage to be able to march down a street, uncertain of what's going to happen, not sure if they're going to be called nasty or hateful names, not sure they're going to be attacked, or not sure if things are going to be thrown at them. Who would have known? And I could just imagine the fear that they may have been going through in that moment. But the beauty of the whole thing is it did not stop them. One of the things that we learn here as course students is we cannot allow our fears to get in our way, to hold us back. And I think that's what they did. They recognized and realized how important it was for them to put themselves out there, not only locally, but nationally. They did not buy into their fear. And I think that's a remarkable thing that they did. And because today is Pride, that's why I decided I want to highlight that. Because it's a beautiful day. A beautiful, beautiful sunny day. And also, I want to take this time to honor all of those who were killed and injured at the Post Club in Orlando, Florida. I know for me, it is something that has affected me. I have been going through my own emotions regarding it. You know, definitely feeling a lot of sad and a lot of grief regarding it. But I also have to recognize that I also been feeling a lot of anger of this continuing to happen in our society. And just recognizing that these were individuals who found a place where they can go and be themselves, probably had no care in the world at that moment. And to have something like this to happen, they were embracing themselves. They were experiencing what it's like be in a prideful state of mind. There is no other way to put it, to recognize that this was a horrific attack that took place on that day. These were young, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender folks, and more specifically, lesbian and gay, transgender of color, Latinos. And we already know in our society we have humongous racial issues going on. And to have this happen to a group of people of color affect me even more because of it. They were just enjoying themselves, dancing, and just feeling free. Can you imagine what it's like to just be free in that moment and not expecting anything to happen? But then as I sit and reflect upon that incident, it reminds me that my nephew used to live in Orlando. And I know my nephew because he was like I was when I was in that age, in my 20s. You know, he went out and he loved going out dancing, and he loved to just go to a place where he felt safe and felt free. And then I was thinking, wow, if he was still living in Orlando, he probably would have been at that club, because I know he attended it. And then I think, like, okay, as a course student, what is it that we can do to help us to move forward when these type of tragic activities happen? And so, as we go about today, and as we go about the rest of this month of June, let's take this time and celebrate and remember all those individuals that was killed in Orlando and the ones that were injured, and also the ones that have been impacted because of this. I take a moment and I think, okay, we are celebrating Pride. And what does that really mean? What does Pride actually stand for? And so I decided to look it up. I'm just curious what the dictionary actually says about pride. And this is what it says: feeling that you respect yourself and deserve to be respected by other people. Then it says a feeling that you are more important or better than other people. Very interesting. And then it says a feeling of happiness that you get when you or someone you does, a feeling of happiness that you get when you or someone you does something good or difficult. I have to admit, when I pay attention to these different definitions of it, yeah, I have, mixed emotions regarding it. As you see, some of it is actually uplifting, and some of it seems to be somewhat selfish. When you take one way to think about it. And then I ask myself, when these definitions comes up, is it actually coming from someone's ego mind, or is it coming from someone's spirit mind? And how much that makes a difference of how we actually, relate to it. And then the Course mentions this: it is easy to distinguish grandeur from grandiosity because love is returned, but pride is not. For me, what that means is it's about us coming to the point where we're starting to become true to ourselves. And when we're able to do that, that's when we actually start, putting out love. And so, yes, looking at, grandeur and grandiosity, yes, it's easy to distinguish between those two. But when you look at the word pride, it is a little more challenging. It's a little more complicated because pride can come from our ego mind, or it can actually come from our spirit mind. And that's what makes it a little more challenging of which way that, it can, goes. One of the things that I, think about is when I think about pride, I'm using it as coming from a selfish place. Am I using it to possibly be hurtful, not only to myself, but to someone else? And more importantly, am I using it in a way where I'm distancing myself from the Spirit? So how are we actually, utilizing it? And so it made me think, and made me realize, what is a better way of thinking about how I use pride than in relationships? As we know, relationship is one of the more complicated things that we can actually, go through. And then when I thought about it, I recognize one of the things that we try to do if we're in a relationship is to try to do our best as we can. That's what we try to do. We recognize issues are going to come up, but we try to stay as present as we can to be able to, embrace it. But I also, realize when I, think about it is when I am in a judgmental state, being defensive or controlling in my relationship, which I know I have been, and I'm sure we have witnesses in this room who can contest to that. I recognize that. But then when I take a moment and realize it is because of my own pride. When I am in no state of mind of judging, being defensive, or controlling, it's because of my own pride. And that's what it was hard for me to look at that. I'm like, wow, I am being so freaking prideful instead of just like taking a moment and realizing just to be more present and more there. And so it's important for me to pay attention to that and look at it and realize that when I'm in that state of mind, I am not coming from a loving or healing place. I'm actually coming from a fearful place. And that is a space that I don't want to be in. And I'm sure that's a space that none of us wants to be in. We want to be in a more loving and healing space. And so it's important for us to be able to get to the point, to be able to recognize these things. Pride will not produce miracles, and therefore will deprive you of your true witnesses to your reality. This was a hard one to take for the Course. The Course always, have some juicy, in here, and there's sometimes I'm like, no way in hell I'm going to be able to understand or get that concept. And this is one of them, the whole thing of depriving ourselves. It made me realize, okay, we're celebrating Pride today. Are people really depriving themselves? Are they really not in a miracle, state of mind? And so maybe to, look at that, because according to this, pride will not produce miracles, and therefore we deprive you from your true witnesses to your reality. I'm like, but wait a minute here. I don't get that. I don't see how that's actually, happening. And so then as a Course student, I, turned it over and asked for guidance and get a better sense of where is it that this meaning is supposed to be about. And, and what it is, in my mind, it is when we are depriving who we are, then yes, we're not being true to ourselves. And that's when we deprive us. When we get to the point where we are able to truly accept every ounce of who we are, then we are allow ourselves to get into this incredible miracle state of mind. And to me, that is when we stop depriving ourselves. And to me, that is when we can start actually feeling prideful, because we're not coming from our ego mind anymore. We are now starting to shift and come from our spirit mind. And as course students, that's something that we constantly continue to try to work through, to continue to fight our ways from our ego mind into our spirit mind. And these little things that happens throughout the day is a reminder of that. You know, I still, reflect on my first Pride when I was this young gay man coming to San Francisco, and I remember that I was terrified of marching down, Market Street. But I realized that once I started marching, the beauty it felt within me, the acceptance that was all around us, was an incredible, incredible gift to be able to have. And yes, in that moment, I was being prideful. Because I was being prideful because at that moment, I was being true to myself. And we're able to be true to ourselves. That is when we can allow ourselves to embrace, truly embrace every aspect and every ounce. We have said that the Holy Spirit is the motivation for miracles. This because He always tells you that only the mind is real, since only the mind can be shared. When we get to the point where we can begin to share our minds in a more loving and healing place, then we truly will be able to come one. And that is when we will have the opportunity to start seeing things in a loving and healing way on a more daily basis. It's us learning how to share what's already in our minds, but share it from a more loving place. That is what we need to strive for. That is what I need to strive for. And the thing is, yes, it's easy to strive for that among people who are like us. The challenge is being able to send out that energy to individuals who does hateful acts like what happened in Orlando. That is the moment when we need to figure out how can we shift ourselves and also see them in a loving manner and be able to heal them as well. And I have to admit, that is hard. That is a very challenging thing to do. But that is how we start being able to change and be able to shift the way things are in this world that we are in. We need to start with the ones who we know may not be in the same thinking frame of mind that we are, to be able to put that energy out. But that is, I think, when the shifts will actually finally begin. And we do that by asking Holy Spirit for guidance, asking the Spirit of how do I go about dealing with situations like this. The Holy Spirit leads to God, translates communication into being, just as He ultimately translates perception into knowledge. Our communication must come through the Holy Spirit in my mind. It cannot come through our ego minds. It has to come from our spirit mind. This is the only way that we will be able to come from the right place, when we're able to allow ourselves to do that. And for me, allow myself to embrace and to celebrate this Pride weekend, this Pride month, is a gift. And to not allow my own fear to prevent me from going out and celebrate with my brothers and sisters. As we all sit here in this room today, I want each one of us to send out all of the loving, healing, peaceful thoughts to those who are marching at this moment from Market Street up to Civic Center area. All those who are already there in Civic Center area, enjoying themselves, allowing themselves to be free. Them being able to truly accept who they are. It may only be today that they're doing it, or it may just been for the weekend. But they are able to do it at this moment. And we can manifest that energy and to be able to help them and help us celebrate something that is remarkable. Individuals coming together to embrace and to show the world that this is who I am. This is who God created. And by God creating who I am, it's important for us to continue to accept that within ourselves, and more importantly, within this world that we are in. So to our brothers and sisters, everyone who's selling Pride all over, I just want to say happy Pride, and continue to keep Pride within our heart and our spirit. And that's my talk.